me ask you a question. You knew Gloria Swanson?
Oh no, she was before my time.
She was pretty
no,
much
she was.
she
Let
had
me put it
stopped?
this way: she was just finishing,
She was just
like when I
finishing.
came in. Yeah,
Right.
about then.
When you saw her in the Billy Wilder movie, you know, her famous role as Norma Desmond, did you think that were you offended by that? Do you think that was
Well,
accurate?
I didn't think that it showed women in the highest degree, but I had to admit I was fascinated by her. I mean, I enjoyed watching the picture. Yes, I mean I didn't agree with it, but and of course it put women in a not a very good light. But and I didn't like that part. But I loved watching her work. I mean, I thought she was a very good actress. And I mean, I don't know whether other people do or not, but I did, and I used to like her movies.
What was it about the portrayal of Norma Desmond that you thought was unflattering to women? What didn't you like about it
Well,
as an actress?
it was something. Say that again,
You
please.
said I didn't think very much about the way they portrayed her in Sunset Boulevard. You didn't think it was very fair to women.
Well, it's true. I mean, they made her look at the end. They had the man dead. I mean, that had been keen about her and doing, being with her. And in other words, it indicated that she bought him in a way. I mean, now excuse me, I shouldn't use that expression, but that he did what she wanted because he wanted to be in with her. You know, he wanted her to like him and all that. So he would do things that he thought she would like to do, and so on. And I think that's the truth. I mean, I think the man did play up to her nicely and did what she wanted and so on, so that they could be friends. Because, of course, she was the one that had the power and the position at the time, as far as I remember.
Right.
And so, naturally, he was probably very happy that she liked him.
But I think it said a bad thing about the fact that because you were a silent picture star, you would be that kind of person like Norma Desmond, that you would be, so self-preoccupied. Maybe that's what you meant when you said that you didn't like the way it portrayed women.
Well, I can't say that I thought every movie didn't help, well, wasn't good for women. That isn't true. I mean, I
No,
didn't
the
mean that.
Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, and Sunset Boulevard. Well, I suppose that she ran him in a way, because she had the money, she had this thing, and I had this feeling that he was doing what she wanted because he had a nice free place to live, and he had a nice place upstairs, and and so on, and so to me it just wasn't a perfect union. It was something in which he was getting some for doing what she wanted, which of course that's what stories are made of. I mean, lots of times.
Was it possible that you didn't like it because you loved Norma Talmadge so much and the name was the same, Norma Desmond, Norma Talmadge? Was that maybe?
I never thought of that. You might have something there, but I never thought of that. I mean, that didn't enter into it at that time for me.
Do you think Norma Desmond was supposed to be Norma Talmadge? That it was a fictionalization of Norma? I mean, was there anyone
No, I never thought of that. It might be, but that never occurred to me.
Do you know of anybody in Hollywood from your generation who was like Norma Desmond, who locked themselves up? Do you remember any star that somebody would have had the idea for Norma Desmond from?
Well, honey, you must remember, if you look through many of these girls' lives, here and there you'll find, in fact, I remember a girl who asked us for a lift home. And she said, I want to get in the movies. I'll do anything. And I thought, oh, my word, this is dreadful. And I said, oh, no, honey. I said, that's not the way to get in the movies. I said, what you want to do is go and get somebody to represent you. And, get somebody that could, because I had visions of this girl. I didn't know what she was going to do. I mean, was yelling at me, I'll do anything, you know what I mean? It scared the wits out of me. For her, because I didn't know what she might do. We had just picked her up. They'd called us and asked us if we'd give her a lift or something like that. And so, but I was worried about her because I thought, well, now, wait a minute. As you're standing there, you're shrieking that she'll do anything. I mean, this is very sort of frightening, So
yeah,
I
did
told
she
her.
ever make it? Was that somebody that ever made it in the
I
movies?
wouldn't know. I didn't know. I lost contact with her, contract with her. What happened, I think, is I told her. I said, honey, that's not the way to get in the movies. I said, get yourself somebody who can represent you, and let them do the work. because I felt if she could get under the maybe I really didn't think she'd going to make it, but I thought at least
Well,
I
you know,
couldn't
it's
very
funny
well say.
because Charlton Heston's recollection of actresses when he came to Hollywood in the 1950s, he said, it was always very hard on the women because they would get the part of like standing behind the man waving, so long, come back later, the guy riding off. Or he said, many of them became sex toys. And I thought, I wonder, he has such a different perception of Hollywood when he was here. Maybe the business changed from
Well, I wonder because, of course, I thought he was a very fine man, and I still think so. I think he, did a good job and so on. I didn't know him, but I mean...
But certainly you weren't waving. I mean, you were always in the foreground in your movies.
Well, yes. I mean, because, you see, I had a contract. What had happened is I got this contract at Metro. Because, you see, I could have taken either Metro or the one that begins with P. Paramount. But I took Metro because I always liked the pictures as usually they came from them. Right. And so I took Metro, and I was there for 7 years. And then I decided I was kind of tired. I'd been working. I made about 34 pictures.
Let me interrupt you. Do you think that they were writing, when you were in the films, do you think that they were writing the parts of the women bigger than like in Charlton Heston's? Because it seems as though in the films you were in, you had the feature role. I mean, Johnny Mac Brown, he's like a prop. and like you and Crawford
nice,
are like, like you're dominating him. Whereas like in Charlton Heston's day, it's like I'm Andrew Jackson.
Oh,
and
yes.
the women didn't have those big roles.
No,
Do you
I think
that
you got a
changed?
point.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I can talk about it. I guess it did change. I mean, although, what about today? I mean, can you go in and see a movie actress that's a star? Yes, I think you can. I don't know who she is right now, but I mean, it seems to me that women have held their, they maybe have slipped a little, but I think they've held their place up to a point. And, I mean, I like to go and see movies with women stars. And although I will say I like to go and see them look like Charlton Heston, too. I thought he was very good looking. Right. And I used to like to go and see good looking men, yes. And
But you were of an era where the women were. I mean, come on. I looked at parts of that what is it, Daughters?
Dancing Daughters?
Or Dancing Daughters. And come on, Johnny Mac Brown. I mean, you could have had a statue there.
Poor Johnny. Bless his heart. He was a dear man. But, well, that was a woman's picture, let's face it. I mean, to a certain extent. And the men had, a part in it, and he had a nice part in it. But I've thought of that, too. I've thought, here I and Joan Crawford and a couple of other women have gone on. But the men in those pictures didn't seem to. I mean, except the one you just mentioned. I forgot his name already. Yeah, Johnny Mac Brown.
Well, he went on to do westerns, but they were.
Well, no, wait, there was somebody else.
But he never became you or Crawford or.
No, but there was somebody else you mentioned.
Gable went on.
Gable. He went on, and he went on great. I mean,
but in those old movies, those early movies, he's kind of a prop too. I mean, all they did was put tuxedos on.
Let me tell you something. The lady that ran one of the departments used to send flowers to Mr. The one you just mentioned, Gable. Oh,
in
yes.
Private Life, yeah. But I'm saying about the parts that they had.
Mm-hmm.
All the men did was like show up in those tuxedos.
Yeah.
The women had the fire in your.
Yeah, and like that you said, Our Dancing Daughters. That was a woman's picture. But,
and they were interested in making women's pictures.
Yes, they were. Well, I suppose they felt that women maybe were bigger. You could get more women than you could men into a theater. I mean, you could get men, yes, but I mean, women, could be out in the afternoon, maybe drop in for a movie and so on. And I think movies are more. Well, not maybe now, but I think they were patronized more by women than men.
That is.
That's fabulous.
I think we have everything.
We need. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What did I say that was wrong that got you upset? What did I say?